Welcome everyone to the Mindset Matters podcast. I'm your host, Denise Zack. Thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you're tuning in on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, let me know. Let me know where you're tuning in from today. Give me a quick good morning and let me know what questions you have as I walk through this podcast today. I'm so excited, again, to be here just to talk with all of you. This is a podcast about matters of the mind because your mindset matters. It absolutely does. And how we show up to our day matters. Every week, I have a different co-host, and what we're hoping to do is inform you, inspire you, and give you strategies so that you walk away feeling like you're able to do something more towards living your best life, to incorporate things into your life, or to help you think about things differently and maybe shift your perspective just a little bit so that you walk away with a different set of skills. Unfortunately, my guest host this week, Daniel Bernard, he was not able to make it. He had something come up last minute. Daniel, I miss you, and I'm looking forward to you being here the next time when we reschedule. We will be rescheduling. He has promised me that. So, but I'm diving in anyway. I'm here with you, and I'm so excited to talk about today's topic. But before we get to that, two things. If you like this info, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ripple Affect Life Coaching. This is the Mindset Matters podcast on YouTube. So please subscribe to that because it really helps to get the word out. The more subscribers I have, the more traction this gets, and the more people can watch and really learn. That is my goal in life, is to help as many people as possible, because I've seen the benefits of understanding mindset and really helping yourself through a critical thinking and being self-aware and learning those types of skills. So I invite you to subscribe. Also, two really cool things that I'm doing this month are free mindfulness workshops, an hour-long workshop where you will be live with me. You get to ask the questions you want to ask, talk about your own stressors and how to manage them. And I will be giving you the strategies real live in time. And that is February 15th at, I believe that one's at 5:30. And the other one is February 28th. And I believe that one's at 8 p.m. But I did put it in the chat. So look in the chat. You'll see the link there to sign up. And you can just copy and paste that link, and that will allow you to sign up for either of those workshops. So again, I'm going to dive into the topic here. We're talking today about burnout. And the reason why this topic came up, I ask you to give me the topics you want us to talk about, the things that are most important to you. And then I'm hoping that at least some of you want to hear about some things, and then you send us your thoughts. The reason why I came up with burnout is because of a work group that I'm working with right now. They're in the healthcare field, but I've been working with them. They went through my 8-week mindful life coaching course. And good morning, Joseph. Great to see you. They went through my mindful life coaching workshop, and they learned a ton of skills. They talked about how it's helped to transform their life. They reduced their stress. And now I go in monthly to their organization and discuss topics with them. They said no matter how much mindfulness they implement, they're still stressed at work. Things happen. Things are happening all the time. Things are transforming all the time because of COVID, because of the state of the world that we're in. And they feel like they can't keep up with all of the intensity of everything that's happening around them. And so this is for those people. This is for the Florida healthcare group that I am working with. I hear you. And I think burnout is something that we all need to pay attention to. And in the past, it really was seen as an individual issue. It's like, if you're stressed, then you're not managing yourself well. You're not managing your time well. It's seen as a character flaw. And in honesty, we wear stress as a badge of honor in our society. It's like, the more stressed we are, the more productive we are. If we're not stressed, well, what's wrong with that person? Oh, you have time to go to the gym. I'm glad you're able to take care of yourself. It's like we want to tell ourselves that we want to reduce the stress, but in reality, we compete with each other for it at the same time. And so there's become this dynamic that we have to be stressed somehow in order to feel like we're being productive. That has turned into a very difficult and challenging space to be in. The World Health Organization 2019 listed burnout as a phenomenon to be considered and taken care of and looked at not on an individual level, but on an organizational level, on a cultural level. And it is something, and that is the stance I'm going to be talking about today, because I've been teaching mindfulness and meditation and yoga and wellness and self-care for an incredibly long time. But all of that is wonderful for your mental health. It's wonderful for stress management, but if the culture is not doing something to manage the amount of stress that is felt in the organization, then you're not going to have satisfied employees and you're not going to have good productivity. I want to share some information with you. And thank you, Joseph, for those wonderful comments. You're right. You have to be aligned. We have to be able to understand, what's happening in our organizations. But I want to share some statistics with you that kind of blew my mind as I was researching this topic. When you think about burnout, right? Burnout, we spend $190 billion in the United States just on burnout related topics. That's roughly 8% of the national healthcare expenditures. And nearly 120,000 deaths are attributed to burnout each year. Worldwide, 615 million people suffer from depression and anxiety. Burnout costs the global workforce an estimated $1 trillion in lost productivity. And caregiving and emotional support occupations such as doctors and nurses and psychiatrists and social workers are at an increased risk for the consequences of burnout, which are life-threatening. Male healthcare workers are at a 40% increased risk for suicide, and female healthcare workers are at 130% increase for suicide. So this is a problem. It's a real problem. And if that wasn't scary enough, if those statistics aren't scary enough, then think about the fact that companies without well-being support systems, they have higher turnover, they have lower productivity, they have higher healthcare costs, about 50% higher healthcare costs. And that means astronomical healthcare prices that get trickled down to the employees. Workplace stress costs $500 billion each year. And each year, 550 million days are lost due to job-related stress. And another APA study claims that burnout employees are 2.6 times more likely to be actively seeking a different job, 63% more likely to be taking a sick day, 23% are more likely to visit the ER. So these statistics are incredibly telling and really let us know that there is an issue in our culture with how we are managing things. We weren't taught how to manage stress as children. We're taught how to prevent a cold, wash your hands, go to the doctor, get regular physicals, exercise, but we're not told how to manage stress. We're not told what the symptoms of anxiety and depression are and what stress looks like and how it can impact you and the types of things that you can do in order to take care of yourself. We're certainly not taught what stress looks like in a culture and how to pay attention to the culture and energy within the work organization at all. And so what the World Health Organization is really saying is that as much as we think that burnout is an individual issue, it absolutely is not. And we have to pay attention to that. The top 5 reasons that were listed as burnout, though the reasons for burnout, are unfair treatment at work or perceived unfair treatment at work, unmanageable workload, lack of role clarity, lack of communication and support from managers, and unreasonable time pressures. And so, it's really important that we take a look at what is happening in the workplace so that we can address some of these issues that are happening within the work culture. And if we're not paying attention to it, it's going to do you a disservice and you're going to have less productivity. And a lot of people think, well, maybe it isn't the burnout. We really have to go upstream. We have to go upstream and look at the culture and see what is happening. It's like a canary, right? And this is Christina Maslach, who is a burnout expert. She's developed the burnout scale, the official burnout scale. She has stated that it's like a canary. When you bring a canary in a cage into the cave, It's happy, it's singing its song, it's flitting its little feathers, and it goes in and then it stays there for a while, comes out, it's covered with soot and ash. We would never ask the canary, why are you sick? Why didn't you take care of yourself? And why aren't you getting better? It is mind-blowing that people put the pressure all on, or organizations put the pressure all on people, and they don't look at what the energy of their own culture is. We have to pay attention to that. It is important to continue to do the mindfulness and the meditation and the well-being, but we have to ask different questions. We have to make sure that we are getting to the bottom of what your particular culture is dealing with, right? What is going on in your particular culture that might be energizing or de-energizing people? It could be a staffing issue. It could be the work schedule. It could be the work tasks and what you're expecting of people, but you're not going to know any of that unless you're talking to your employees and unless you're asking. So companies are trying to help. They are doing things. There are well-being series. I have a bunch of corporate clients. I go in on a regular basis. I do the work with my corporate clients, and it is helpful, and it helps your mental health and it helps your stress levels, but it's not the end all be all. There are mandatory vacation days. Look at Nike. They're making their employees take mandatory vacation days. Employees are encouraging boundary setting with meetings and breaks and things like that. And they're allowing asynchronous work schedules and hybrid models of in-person versus remote. The problem with some of these is, well, there's problems obviously with everything, right? Sometimes it's just not enough. It's not the right thing. You have to tailor what you're doing to your organization, right? So you have to know what it is that's going on. The density of the workday is so intense. People are running from meeting to meeting. They don't have the time. They don't feel like they have a second to even breathe, let alone take an hour to do a self-care activity or to set boundaries and take a lunch break. Are you kidding me? That is not going to happen. So they feel like they're going to miss out on something. They would prefer not to take a vacation day because they want to get the work done. They don't want to be perceived as lazy. They want to make sure that they're showing up. And the problem with asynchronous schedules for some people is that they feel like they're missing out on things if they're not there during the workday. They may feel like there's an uneven, balance. If you're there and you have FaceTime with the manager, you're going to get the raise, you're going to get the promotion, you're going to get the salary increase. And there's also inconsistency with communication and messaging and things like that when people are there and not there. You just don't have the whole dynamic. So we've got to figure out what's going to work best and what is going to actually be the answer. And so, yes, we have to make sure, do we need to have this meeting? Is it the right thing right now? So how do we figure out what we have to do? And we have to invest in burnout strategies. Again, you have to swim upstream in your organization to figure that out. Maslow talks about the pebble issue, solving the pebble issues, like those when you're walking on pebbles and it's just, it's not hugely painful, but it's just annoying enough that it can wear you down over time. How do you know what your employees' pebbles are? You've got to ask data-driven research, and you've got to report the findings. You have to create a trusting environment where they think and they know, your employees know that you were looking out for them, that you care about what their well-being is, and that you're communicating that in an open way. Do it anonymously. Don't identify anyone, but make sure that you're asking the right questions, and because you want to be able to give people what they need and not what you think they need. You spend budget and put a volleyball court outside. Well, people will be looking at, while they're doing their meetings and thinking, well, where'd the budget come for that? They should have fixed A, B, and C first and, fix the lighting in the coffee room or put coffee back in the coffee room instead of, putting that volleyball court out there. Don't put what you think they need. Put what they tell you they need. And so you've got to be able to provide the correct interventions for what's going on in your culture. Start with the low-hanging fruit. Start with the things that are most priority to people as well. Ask them better questions. So let's talk about those questions, because those are the things that keep us going. You want to ask what motivates you in the workplace, what demotivates you, what are the things that are most troublesome for you in the workspace. If you had a magic wand, what would be the first thing that you would fix? What de-energizes you? What creates your job satisfaction? And then what is it that dissatisfied in the workplace. Satisfaction and dissatisfaction are not on a continuum, right? You can be satisfied in a lot of ways at work and dissatisfied in many different ways as well. You have to ask both questions, and you have to be willing to hear the answer. You have to be willing to dive in, to be transparent, to be forthright. Now, you may not have the ability to fix everything, but at least address it. Say, this is what we're doing, and allow your employees then to make the decision about, is this going to continue to work for them? The more you do, the better they're going to feel, the more loyalty you're going to have, the better communication you're going to have, and the more productivity you'll have in the workplace. So continue to do all of those self-care things, those well-being interventions. Continue to have all of that at your disposal as an organization, but make sure, again, that you're asking the right questions. I told you these were going to be quick. I am going to end right there for today. I want to thank you again for being here. Thank you for your comments and for joining me today. I encourage you to share this. If you think that you know someone, an organization who could benefit from this, please share this with them so that they can listen to it, they can develop their own strategies, and make sure you are still doing your due diligence and taking care of yourself and reducing your stress in your life, because it is incredibly important that you do your part and then work with your organization to do their part. Maybe contact a manager or a trusted employee friend that you have and chat with them. Have a wonderful day. Have an amazing rest of your week. I look forward to next week's podcast. Thank you, everyone, and take care. Bye-bye.